What's up, y'all? This video is all about the new portals. This is an unboxing / review video looking at the parts. I need to make a second follow-on video to this with an installation, step-by-step instructions, review on the machine type thing. So if you have a Honda Rubicon and you would like 4-inch portals, hit me up. I'll make you a killer deal on these. I'll install them for free. I've got a few improvements I'm working on that you're also going to get for free with the portals. I don't have a Rubicon right now. I don't really have a desire to build another Rubicon on portals. I've already had two. I've had one on 4-inch portals and one on 6-inch portals. Now, why did I get the 4-inch portals? Well, they're pretty much the same brackets and stuff, and the 6-inch portals to me just don't work as well on a small four-wheeler. It makes it so tall it wants to tip over backwards. You can't climb out of holes very well. Additionally, it puts a lot more stress on your frame tabs and your ball joints. When you go to 6-inch portal, my Rubicon folded the frame tabs the first time I tried to pull someone out in reverse. So any portals, you should run a frame stiffener. I've got one in stock that's going to get installed with these portals. But I think the 4-inch portals are a better match for a smaller ATV like a Rubicon. If you're going to do 6s, you really got to do a big frame stretch the subframe back or something to make it work properly. All right, guys, this video is all about the new Super ATV portals that just came out for the Hondas. These are mostly for the Honda Rubicon platform, the independent rear suspension 500s and 520s. Yes, they will also work on the Rancher 420 IRS. Not sure why anyone buys that thing, but mostly for the Rubicons. Now, you might know I don't even have a Rubicon. I literally bought this set of portals from Vessel Power Sports because they had a really good deal on them, and they were the first persons to list them. So I ordered them to give you guys some feedback on them, give you a review. I've got about 30 people on the Patreon page that had questions about them, and I can't answer those questions until I put my hands on them, so I bought them. I might eventually adapt these to my Foreman 500 to put a solid axle portal setup. I've already done a 4-inch portal Rubicon and a 6-inch portal Rubicon, so I don't really see the point of doing another one. They were effective, but honestly, putting 200 pounds of extra weight on a Rubicon just makes it really boring to ride for me. Now, that's just my opinion based on my riding style. If you just ride from one mud hole to the next and you don't really trail ride, you don't ride big places like Holopal, portals might be fine for you. But for me, they slow the machine down a lot. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They might end up on one of my buddy's machines, honestly. So yeah, I got them just to put some hands on them and test them out for you guys. Spoiler alert, Super ATV has not fixed any of the issues with the portal boxes that I see on every portal set I install. The brackets that it came with are really nice. You got really nice tapers here. Going to be a lot more professional than a lot of the other ones out in the market. I've had ball joint issues with every single aftermarket portal set I've ever installed. You've got to use the clamp and ball joints to have a chance of it working. But in general, custom arms from the smaller fabricators are not going to be as good as the factory ones. They just have better tolerances when they're machining, when they're making these ball joint holes and these tapers. Get a lot of tapers that are just terrible, and then you have nonstop ball joint issues. So that's a huge improvement over what's been available. A couple things to point out right off the bat. These portals do have you reuse your rear hardware. So you're actually going to reuse all the stock hardware. It says it right here. Not a whole lot of detail on that, but you can see they're using the stock bushing covers up there. So you got to put all the stock bushings in these back plates. Probably a good idea because all the aftermarket bushings are crap. Use the OEM ones. You get better longevity. I have to change these bushings out all the time for my buddies with portal Rubicons. I haven't seen a good solution for those bushings yet. Maybe they've gotten better, but all the ones I installed and I maintenance are terrible. So yeah, the main issues, there's two main issues with these portals. Of course, you're gonna get an honest review from me. These gaskets are crap. I had issues with them back on my Gen 1 portals, I don't know, 10 years ago. They were crap. They got better. Now Super ATV went back to using these thin, really soft, black crap gaskets. So these gaskets are terrible. I see them split all the time. They leak all the time. You got to be very careful when you're torquing all the bolts in the portals or you'll just split the gasket. Terrible. The other main issue is this seal back here. I'll show you in detail, but the seal is not positioned properly on the input gear. And all of these seals leak. Every time I rebuild portals, I see mud and water trapped in the seal and getting into the box there. So that issue is still present. It's also funny that they give you 4 rotors, even though you don't need rotors on the rear. So I'd recommend go ahead and take those off. And of course, like I said, these things are really heavy. They're way overkill for a Honda 4-wheeler. They're designed to work on a 6-seater, 100+ horsepower side-by-side, so they're going to be overkill for a Honda. These hubs are way heavier than they need to be. Everything's really, really overkill. So you're not going to have any problems with these portals breaking gears or breaking the brackets. That's not going to happen. If you let water get in them, eventually you'll destroy the bearings, and then you might break the gears. But the only issue you're going to have with the portals that I suspect with these portals are going to be sealing issues with the gasket and that seal right there. But if you keep the water out of them, you change your oil a lot, they should be pretty reliable. Just know that you're adding 200 pounds of weight to a machine that's like 700 or 800 pound stock. So there's going to be a huge reduction in acceleration It's going to have a huge reduction in ride quality. Those little tiny Honda shocks aren't going to be able to control, you know, a 50-pound portal and bracket. So don't expect it to ride like factory once you add these portals. Also, there is no clocking. All of the brackets are straight up and down. So you have no change in your wheelbase when you install this portal kit. And this box, which is totally tore open, by the way, hopefully I didn't lose any parts. Thanks, Super ATV. This box is 33 pounds. So all right, so here's the first box we're gonna weigh. According to UPS, it's 51 pounds. I'm just gonna check that with my scale. 50.4 pounds, so pretty accurate. So that's 50 pounds. This box, which is some of the brackets, is 32.5 pounds. And then we have two of these boxes. These are the actual portals themselves. There's two in each. These are 49.2 pounds, so about 50 pounds. Yeah, these things are really heavy, guys. Oh man, yeah, they're not fun to move around. And then 49.4 pounds, which is funny because they're labeled differently by UPS. And here's the bolts and nuts and the brake hardware and all that stuff. 18 pounds. So, yeah, we'll add that up at some point, but basically you've got 150 pounds right here, and then you've got 33 and 18, so you're basically adding 200 pounds to your machine. So I'm just gonna unbox these and give you my opinions. This all looks like standard portal stuff, the same giant nuts. They give you a socket for those giant nuts. Here's the nuts that are the recessed nuts that go in the top of the portal. We've been using P500 nuts forever, but you know, it's probably the same thing as P500. Here are some little brake line extensions, probably. I don't love how we have to do that, but because Honda brake lines are kind of one piece, that's what you end up with. Here is your caliper brackets. That's really beefy. Probably totally overkill for an ATV. They're also really heavy. Those are little caps. And here is maybe some other caliper brackets or spacers. I'm not really sure. Probably the front or the rear. Actually, wait, you don't have rear calipers on any of these machines. They have pinion brakes. So it's probably like a brake spacer. So we got the instructions here. Yada, yada, yada. That's what the brackets are going to look like. That's kind of cool. Okay. Yep. Obviously, I got 30% portals. The 15% are pretty stupid for most people that mud ride. I do not recommend them on anything. It all looks like pretty standard installation stuff. I work on a ton of portals, so yeah, that is a spacer for the brakes. So as expected, that's the front brake spacer for the caliper bracket. Yep, there's how they're having you do the extension on the brakes. Next, we're going to open up this box and see if we're missing anything, because obviously it wasn't taped well enough for having this much weight being shipped through the lovely, what was this, UPS or FedEx? Yeah, UPS. They really did a number on this. I think it's just big parts in this box though, so hopefully I didn't lose anything. So there's the one rear bracket. There's two rear brackets. There's one front bracket, and there's two front brackets. So like I said, guys, if you are thinking about doing this mod on your Foreman or Rancher, don't plan on doing hill climbs or anything that requires speed. You're going to be very slow. Even in like Holopal Sugar Sand, you're going to notice this weight. This front bracket looks really nice. Nice gusseting here, welded all in there. This is way overkill. This is never going to fail on an ATV. Which is what you want to see, right? This powder coat looks a little weird and bubbly in a few places, or what? I guess it's not powder coat. Whatever coating this is, see how it's kind of cracking off in there. But the tapers look factory. A lot of the ball joints and aftermarket arms I get and stuff, they don't have the right tapers machined on them, and it just wreaks havoc on the ball joints, constantly loosening up. Yeah, this coating looks really weird. It's like flaking off in a lot of places. But I do appreciate that they didn't coat the inside of these interfaces. A lot of aftermarket arms I get, like S3 for instance, just totally powder coated the inside of the ball joint hole, which was a huge pain in the butt. That ball joint hole looks good too. So I think these are going to fit like factory. You're going to be able to actually press in an OEM ball joint, not have it be all loose and fall out. And you're not going to have to constantly retorque the nuts on your tapers, so that's good. Looking at this though, you can see that there is no rake in this 4-inch bracket. It drops straight down, which is what Super ATV generally does on the 4s and the 6s, so no surprise there. I don't really have a use for them at the moment. So here's the rear bracket. Again, really trussed up, a lot of welds. Definitely more heavy duty or as heavy duty as all the custom ones I've seen. So yeah, you're not going to break this, guys, on a 30 horsepower Honda. Okay, so in this box, because Super ATV is silly and likes to ship one set of everything, we have the 4 hubs, and looks like they all have rotors on them. So you do not need rotors on the rear of a Honda ATV. So I recommend taking those rotors off. It's just more unsprung weight. And these hubs, of course, are really heavy and really beefy and completely overkill for a Honda ATV. So you're adding a lot of weight there. Okay, now we're opening up the actual portal box. These are packaged a lot better. A lot of foam in here. Actually, they changed their foam. They used to use like a custom cut foam. Now they're using these expanding foam packs, but regardless, it feels fine. These are all the same pretty much, so I'm just going to take out one of them. They're very universal. See how that gasket is already squished out and folded over like that, guys? That's not good. Is this one the same way? No, this one's not like that. So let's look at this one then, because it looks like Super ATV already fucked up the gasket for us. Okay. So that is not what you want to see. That much gasket hanging out is just going to cause problems. So I'm probably going to order a gasket kit for these before I even install them. Look at this big dent right here in the aluminum on the sealing surface for this top cover. That's probably poor handling or poor packaging. That is not good, Super ATV. What? Yeah. So that is not making me happy that these things are brand new. But here's the biggest problem. These 2 seals look good. That's what you want to see. You see how the shaft is sticking out past the seal there. That's how the seal should look. That seal looks good too. If you flip the box around though, you'll see my biggest complaint with the Gen 3 portals. This input gear does not stick out far enough through the seal. So you can see that this seal lip right here is hanging out past the input gear. That input gear has a bevel on it, just like this gear does. See the little bevel right there? So because of that, mud and water are going to constantly get in this seal, and it's going to fail prematurely. This gap right here is a big problem. Every portal I rebuild, these seals are just packed with mud and dirt, and it's very obvious that that's where the water's getting in. Either the water's getting in through this top inside seal, or it's getting in through the gasket because the gasket's blown out like that. We're actually going to open up this box and take a look at this gasket from the inside, which you shouldn't really have to do, but almost every portal I do, I have to open them up when I install them. Either install new gaskets, make some custom cut gaskets, or just open them up and adjust the gaskets. Gaskets are a real pain in the ass. That's the biggest benefit for me for an 8-inch portal, is it has an O-ring instead of a gasket. But man, that lip right there, that's pretty bad. The seal just doesn't sit deep enough into the portal box. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just designed wrong. It's machined wrong. I've seen that on every single 4- and 6-inch portal Gen 3 I've rebuilt. So yeah, that's not beautiful. Let me go ahead and grab some tools. I'm going to open this box up and we'll see what this gasket looks like from the inside. All right, got the portal box opened up for you guys. As you can see in here, I was not joking about this gasket. It is on very crooked from Super ATV. This 100% would have caused a leak because it's only sealing on about half of the case there, which is already pretty thin. So if you see your gaskets hanging out like that, you got to at least open them up and reposition the gaskets correctly. I've had to do this on tons of my friends' portals. Real pain in the ass. Should not be having this issue on a Gen 3 part. These things have been around long enough where this sort of stuff should be figured out. This is pretty lazy. Yeah, I have nothing nice to say about the way that is. But if you take it apart and you get it all centered like that and you put it back together, it'll probably be just fine. Definitely follow the instructions as far as torque. If you over torque these guys, you'll have nothing but problems from those gaskets. These gears are not the finest machined. They have a lot of backlash. Obviously the cover's not on, so that'll change a little bit. That's all pretty standard, but on a 30 horsepower ATV, you're not gonna have any issues. Okay, so we cracked that open. We got the gasket centered much better. If you didn't use such a flimsy, shitty gasket, that really wouldn't happen. So this one, it's about ready to bolt up. I'm gonna go ahead and unbox the other three and inspect them for gasket issues. Alrighty guys, so that's all I got in this video. The other three portals, the gaskets were positioned properly, so definitely check your gaskets, see if they're hanging out. And if I ever install these on a friend's bike or one of mine, I will make a video about the installation on the machine. It's going to be pretty straightforward. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful for you guys if you're contemplating this mod. If you like this kind of stuff, check out the Patreon page. I only make these videos because people on there request them. These videos are expensive and they take a lot of time to make.